You're tuned into the It's Real podcast with your hosts, Kayla and Andrew Yagi. Each week, we'll talk about what happens behind the scenes working full-time in real estate and share with you real-life stories, our successes and failures as we work to help consumers and industry professionals reach their real estate and real-life goals. Here we go. It's episode 12 of the It's Real podcast. Hello, I'm Andrew Yagi. I'm a real estate agent.
And I'm Kayla and I'm a mortgage lender.
And with us today is...
I'm Eli Draeger, and I'm internship at Andrew Yagi Real Estate.
Yeah, well, good to see everybody. And Kayla, so May, we were kind of talking the other day, May is kind of graduation month. Here we're taking all of these, in the case of high school or even college, all of these seniors, and, we're sending them out into the wild to kind of, get on to the next chapter of their life. So I kind of thought it'd be really, really fitting, to invite Eli to be on and just kind of talk about, his experience, why he's interested in real estate and where he plans to go. And just in general, kind of make this episode centered around talking about careers in real estate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, welcome, Eli. You've come to the right place.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
That's the hope. That's the hope, right? At least. But Kayla, what's going on in your world this week?
It's the Parade of Homes in Fargo the last couple weekends here, last weekend, this weekend. And so that causes a lot of people's minds to start going. We're seeing more apps. We're seeing a lot of beautiful homes in the parade. So if anyone is in Fargo and they've got time this weekend and Monday, go check out the Parade of Homes. Make sure you get approved first, because I know what's going to happen. You're going to fall in love with a house and you're not approved, but get approved and go look, because there's some awesome builders out there that have a lot to offer.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's really nice. I wish in our marketplace, we had a little bit more of that, but just a smaller area and you have to pull off an event like you guys put on, but I know a lot of people really love it. It's really great.
It is. How about in your neck of the woods, Andrew?
Yeah, we've got lots going on. We've got really, really low inventory. And in fact, I was reading a little article this morning about kind of the chief economist from the National Association of Realtors. And, they just kind of released kind of some of their numbers and some of their thoughts on the housing market and just talked about the fact that, there are a lot of people that are holding back putting their home on the market. A lot of people just kind of, not wanting to give up, that low interest rate and kind of, still taking that wait and see approach. He said, in fact, it appears that divorces are down just because, again, people are choosing to just tolerate each other in order to not give up that low rate.
Oh my gosh, that is a hilarious stat. I never thought of that, because traditionally January is that you see a lot of divorces because you're past the holidays. Yeah. I never thought, Andy, that the fact that people don't want to sell their homes because they don't want to let go of that low rate.
Yeah.
Hey, they're making marriages happen, maybe. Yeah. So maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah, so it makes sense. Last week we, did our episode, Kayla, on talking about emotions in real estate, especially with agents, clients. And, literally the day, we put the episode out there, I feel like it was just a full moon or something, because the emotions from both clients, from other agents, from, some of the community things I'm involved in boards, it's like, almost all hell broke loose on so many fronts. But, since, I kind of look at that as us having sort of a therapy session and kind of talking about emotions, that, it kind of helped me get through all of the various emotions. So thanks for that.
It must have been a full moon, because I think that, when we really get into home ownership and all the different people involved, and the one thing that I don't think is talked about enough is the emotions of not just the buyer, but everyone involved, the realtor, the lender, everybody. It's a lot more emotional than people think.
Absolutely. So that's kind of a good segue maybe into, talking about our topic today and maybe engaging Eli. And so Eli has been with me. Well, Eli, tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of what brought you here, where you're going to school, and so on.
Yeah, so currently I'm a high school student at Kennedy Secondary School in Fergus Falls, Minnesota. And I started the school year off thinking I was going to be a chiropractor. I come from a long line of chiropractors, so I'm from Wisconsin area, but moved over here in second grade and kind of, just had the idea I'm going to be a chiropractor my whole life. And up until this, last semester, I should say, I kind of had an idea, well, what other options can I pursue other than chiropractic, because I was just kind of engraved in my mindset my whole life. So yeah, I kind of got, a niche for real estate, and I signed up for an internship at my school, and yeah, here we are today.
Yeah.
But
And it's been a lot of fun. Eli's been kind of with me in my office, what has it been? 3 days a week, 4 days a week?
3-4 days a week around there.
Just depending on, I feel like we haven't had a normal week, with weather and snow and everything else.
Right.
But basically been here, and kind of the fun thing about kind of the internship work program that the Fergus Falls High School does, and I'm sure several of the schools in Fargo and many other places, Kayla, do it as well. But just the fact that they have kind of a weekly theme that that they're working on in class, and then come out into the field, and then we kind of visit about it. And, especially as it pertains, like, in Eli's case, like, how do we apply this to kind of your chosen track? And then also talking a lot about, what is your why in life, and why are you going down this path? When
Right.
Eli mentioned, going into chiropractic because his parents did it, and one thing that I see, Kayla, and I'm sure you do a lot, is a lot of people jump into a program or do something because, hey, it's, my family said it. I mean, I've got family farming lineage. I have a lot of brothers, cousins, other relatives that have gone into farming. Some maybe shouldn't be there. Some maybe it's not as good of a fit, but they're like, hey, it's just my parents did it, so I'm going to go that route. Right. So we've talked a lot about, finding your why and making sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. And so that kind of, breaks into a greater discussion on careers in real estate and not just like me as a real estate agent, or Eli, who's maybe looking at being an agent doing property management, but even on the lender side, Kayla. And when we met in college, you were working as a teller at Choice Financial, I think at the Walmart branch.
I can't believe you remember that.
Yeah, back when there was like only one Walmart in Fargo. And but tell us, how even like your path, Kayla, and for those that are maybe listening or watching and thinking, hey, I'm pondering a career. And I might like mortgage. I really identify with Kayla. Tell us about your path.
I think that everyone that becomes a lender, it happens accidentally. For me, I was 15 years old when I started working at my local bank, which at the time was Choice Financial. And, I never thought I wanted to work at the Dairy Queen, darn it, but they weren't hiring. So the next step was this bank job, which I didn't know it was going to be so serious. I was a teller at 15. And I'm so thankful for that because I grew up real quick. I learned about confidentiality, banking practices. So I got such a foundation at such a young age. And truthfully, you guys, that just continued through college because I was going to NDSU in Fargo. And they said, hey, Kayla, did you want a job in college? And I'm like, well, I should probably have a job. And so I just transitioned, right? So, okay, I just kept going and going. Well, all through college, I stayed working at Choice Bank, Choice Financial. And I think a lot of people in banking, you go from teller to virtual banker to personal banker to you get to wear all the hats, which is really cool. But I remember my second year of college thinking, gosh, I need to start figuring this out. I don't want to take classes here, which have nothing to do with my future, if I should be taking this. And I truthfully just didn't think about it. I wasn't really taught that at a young age to try to figure out what you want to do maybe before you get to college. So for me, it was either business or teaching. And I'm like, do I want to deal with kids or do I want to deal with adults? And ultimately I'm like, adults, I have 18 nieces and nephews. I'm good. So for me, it just kind of was like, I'm just going to go for it. And what happened, you guys, is I went into business administration, had a lot of classes with Andy.
We had a lot of classes together.
Oh my gosh, Doug Ram, all the good professionals there. But I just kind of continued on. And what had happened was, it wasn't like I said, I want to be a mortgage lender. It just happened. It's like, hey, Kayla, we've got this opening. You've done all these roles. Do you want this? And what that has led to is, taking opportunities at other companies. It's gone into, branching out and really digging in, thinking, wow, this is what I know and what I do. And I love so many aspects of it that truthfully, when you're a lender and a realtor, the sky's the limit, right? Right. And if you don't work, you're not going to make money, right? I mean, it's not like you're on salary. So for me, it happened accidentally, but I've learned to embrace the fact that I'm really good at this. And there's so many advantages to being a lender that I think people just don't realize. And you don't go to school to be a lender.
Right.
You go for business, and then it's something that you can do, kind of like real estate.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's really well said, Kayla. I still think back to those early days when you were at the Walmart branch at Choice Financial, and it was always just kind of a treat to walk out of Walmart and walk by and, oh, Kayla's working. I can walk by and say hi to her.
I learned so much about my own backbone by working at that Walmart branch. You guys, there was a bank inside of Walmart open Sundays. We were open noon to 5 on Sundays. And I came from this tiny little town of Walhalla, North Dakota, to Fargo, Walmart. There's a bank in Walmart. I cried a lot the first week, and I grew a backbone. So, but yeah.
So, kind of talking about, the focus. And so like Eli and his path, what advice would you give someone like Eli, or maybe someone that's watching or listening today, Kayla, as far as, just kind of thinking of, where you've been since starting as a teller at 15 at the Walhalla Choice Financial to where you are today, which I might add is really remarkable for someone our age. I mean, I think of, the number of people that I know who have gone through so many different jobs or, so many different careers. And here you are, you've been nose to the grindstone financial, from day one, pretty much.
Yeah. And I think it's just one of those things where I look and I say, I've got all this experience. It's not like I'm thinking it as the sunken cost theory of, oh, I've put so much into this, I need to continue. This is what I'm good at. How do I go forward? And my advice is, Eli, I never said to myself, what do I need? What makes me happy? I actually never did that until a few years ago. Do I want a flexible schedule? Do I want to work for a big company? Do I want to work for a small company? Do I want to be an entrepreneur? You really have to ask yourself that, because it's really easy to say, I want to be the CEO of a company. Well, okay, that's awesome. But what are you giving up for that? And what are you gaining? So my advice is really have a heart to heart with yourself and say, what drives me? What gets me excited? What do I really hate? What do I not like doing? If you don't like paperwork, then you probably don't want to be a loan processor. You know what I mean? So that's my advice. Is just, what do you really love to do? And what things, like, do you really value flexibility? I think that's something too. So that's what I had to do.
And that's probably the biggest thing we've talked about and kind of has been a recurring theme as Eli's been with me, is Eli finding your
why.
Your why. Exactly. Because, so many people go through life, Kayla or Eli, and just, kind of, like a rudderless ship. And, hey, I fell into this job, I don't really enjoy what I'm doing. And so what I always ask everyone is, if money didn't matter, what would you do? And then also we've had extensive talks of, like I mentioned earlier, Eli, just making sure you're not diving into chiropractic because your mom and your dad have both done it. You kind of know it. You're comfortable with it. What is your why?
Right.
And kind of exploring that.
Yeah. Off the bat, it was, kind of a shocker. Like, I really never been asked that question before. I was like, okay, well, like, dang, I'm going to get put to work in this internship, And so, which is a really good thing, though. It really challenged me. And I pursued it a little bit and thought about it a lot. And, really just found out I really love helping people. Whatever I do is like chiropractic, if so be it. I really love seeing that smile, that, your instant gratification, get off a table, like, oh, you fixed me. Yeah. Or, in real estate, same thing, you find them a house, like, oh my gosh, this is my forever home. Thank you so much. It's just that smile on their face is really, what drives me to, my goals and my successes in life. So.
I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and we talked a lot here, and I was telling, Eli's teacher that, I feel a little bit bad, from the standpoint of, Eli comes in and it's not always like, hey, let's go do a deal, or, let's do this, that, or the other. I mean, and there are certainly limitations based on licensure on certain things that we can do, but, we've yet had, some really great experiences and, kind of, showed him the side of residential, of commercial real estate, and kind of everything in between, just really trying to give a well-rounded experience, and so the other thing, like, as far as recommendations that I would give people who are listening, or watching, who are maybe pondering that career in real estate, is to get out and have these experiences like Eli had this last semester. Kayla, do you ever take interns on, or do you guys have any type of shadow anywhere you've ever been, or is that kind of a tough thing to do in mortgage?
It's kind of tough with such confidential information, but I know that we do have interns. We will, depending on the role. I personally don't take on any, but I know that there are opportunities out there for you to actually see, because it's so simple to say, oh, yes, I want to help someone find their dream home, or to get them an approval letter for their dream home. But when you see what goes into it, we don't always see what's behind the scenes. We don't see the emotions like we talked about. We don't see the grit and the evening work and the constant battle with interest rates, things like that. So if anyone can get the opportunity to be an intern, take it, because it will give you the real life truth of what the job is like. You can't read about it. You have to really experience it.
For sure. Yeah. Even in my mind, it was like what I thought real estate was, and what firsthand experiences is just totally different. Yeah, to the viewers watching, I highly recommend it myself. I find it very beneficial, even for my future. Continuing my education over at UW Stout, next year in Menominee, but for business real estate. But yeah, like I said, I really recommend it if you guys get a chance to.
Eli, give us a couple of takeaways, and so we obviously talked a lot and kind of instilled in you, the need to find your why and to really, pursue that in everything you do. But what are a couple of other takeaways, maybe?
Yeah, so I would say definitely like what you said, showing me job sites, and you got to take me off flying one day. That was really cool. We flew over to a hangar in Elbow Lake. And yeah, just measuring square footage and stuff like that. And even the perks that you recommend too is like that app on your phone. You know what I'm saying?
Just using technology.
Yep, exactly. So just like I said, just really beneficial to work under someone, as like a successor like Andrew. So
yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm going to be really fun to kind of, monitor your progress and, see what you're up to in college. And, like we've talked, encourage you or anybody out there to get out there and just, network and just, connect with different people, with, different agents, different people that work in kind of allied fields, to kind of feel it out and say, hey, because, you go in kind of like the old adage, 10 different kitchens, 10 different place to store things or locations. And it's the same thing in real estate and finance and mortgage. So, as I look at that, and I tell people too who are looking at, because I have a lot of people approach me and say, hey, real estate looks great. I really want to get into it. Love selling homes. I love the flexibility. And it's a little bit of a misnomer, because when you're first starting, you're going to have to give up a lot. You're probably going to work 60 hours a week, a lot of every night, every weekend when it's the busy season. It's not until you start building a team or getting leverage that you're really going to have, some of those abilities. Right. So,
and I think too, one thing that people forget about is, if you don't like sales, if you don't like networking, that's such a pivotal part of our industry. Is you need to have a good reputation, be able to speak with people and speak with eloquence and be able to connect, because we hear it all the time. People work with those they know, like, and trust, and we look now and we're seeing people on social media now, and we're seeing people embrace that and really getting to know their clients and vice versa. So that's something I would say too, is if you don't like talking to people, but you want to be in real estate, I would say start liking discussions with human beings.
Right. So. Absolutely. Got to like people.
Yep.
Kayla, any final thoughts or anything for Eli or anyone else?
Yes, I do have something. Eli, what is the biggest surprise or biggest misconception or something that kind of struck you working under Andy that maybe you didn't know was something involved in real estate?
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a really great question, Kayla. I would say the number one thing is definitely all the paperwork. I was kind of really, like shell shocked when I saw all the paperwork and, utilities that go into actually getting and like selling a house or buying a house for someone. So, a lot of paperwork. To say the least.
A lot of legalities. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Love it.
Eli, I've got a final question as well. Where is Eli Draeger going to be in 5 years?
Ooh, that's a great question. I would say I'm doing a 4-year degree over at Stowe, like I mentioned before. So I say my 5th year, I'll probably settle down either Hudson area or Minneapolis, a bigger city, ideally. And yeah, just probably work under someone for a couple of years, and then after that, probably pursue my own path, opening up my own firm, and yeah, just trying to live my dream.
Love
That's
it.
awesome. Well, we're going to be excited to keep an eye on you. I definitely will.
Yeah.
And it's been great having you as an intern this semester, Eli, and thanks for joining us today and kind of sharing your experience and kind of your why as well.
For sure. Likewise. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining, Eli. Nice to meet you.
You as well.
Well, that wraps up this week's episode. Kayla, great to see you as always. Have a great rest of the week.
Take care.